The standard definition of obedience among psychologists seemed to be set in stone for many years. Obedience is behavior change produced by the commands of authority. In other words, someone gives you a direct order or command and you comply with that order. Recently, researcher and analyst Stephen Gibson questioned whether that definition was sufficient. One problem is that the usual definition of obedience does not explain what is meant by an order or a command. Milgram defined command this way. A command consists of two parts, a definition of action and the imperative that the action is executed. A request, for example, contains a definition of action but lacks the insistence that it be carried out. However, Milgram's work showed that there was something else going on. As it turns out, the context present in the obedience studies often seem to have as much or more impact as the words spoken. Even though the authority figures in Milgram's study often made requests rather than demands. The subjects did what the authority wanted, even when it was distressing to them. Milgram studied obedience in the 1960s. He also recognized that in war and various other circumstances, authorities often told the people below them to hurt or kill a person. Milgram wanted to find out what circumstances would cause the authorities inferiors to refuse to obey the orders. In Milgram's study, there were three types of participants. His experimenters took charge on each session. Then there were the subjects of the experiments. These people he called teachers, and they were told their job was to assist. Finally, there were paid actors, who Milgram called the learners, who pretended to be volunteers but were actually in on the whole thing. The experimenter told the researcher and the learner that the goal of the study was to find out what effect punishment would have on the learner's ability to memorize information. The learner was strapped into what looked like an electric chair. Next, the teacher read a list of word pairs. Then they read each of the words separately, giving the learner 4 possible answers. If the learner chose the wrong answer, the teacher pushed a button that they were led to believe would give the learner a shock. The learners did not get a shock, but going along with the experiment as they were paid to do, they pretended that they had. The teachers, or subjects as they were, we were told to administer a greater shock with each wrong answer. Of course, they did not know that there never was any shock being given at all. Milgram went ahead with the experiment, and what happened was stunning. Every teacher in the study continued until they had delivered what they believed as a 300-volt shock. 65% of them went on with the experiment until they pushed the button for the 450-volt shock. Even though the teachers were so uncomfortable with doing so that they were showing physical signs of distress like sweating, trembling, and stuttering, they continued. Milgram interpreted the results as being related to 2 theories, the theory of conformism and the agentic state theory. The theory of conformism says that the subject who is unable or unknowledgeable to make the decision leaves the decision to the group in charge. In short, they relied on the group because they felt the experimenter knew more than they did. The agentic state theory says that the subject obeys because they see themselves as an agent of the experimenter. So, they take no personal responsibility for what happens. In other words, they thought it was wrong, but hey, it wasn't their fault. That's it for today. Stay tuned to our channel for more interesting videos. Thank you.